Hi, it's Michelle of Lab Muffin Beauty Science, Chemistry PhD and Cosmetic Chemist. I recently ranked the top products mentioned in the skincare addiction subreddit where I used to be a moderator from 2014 to 2019. A lot of people asked me to rank the top products from the AsianBeauty subreddit too. And I thought this would be interesting because the list is very different in vibe. AsianBeauty is on Reddit, which is very text-based, so there is still a big focus on what works. I think no one likes to buy products that don't work. The products are still quite budget-friendly. From a 2017 survey, 80% of the AsianBeauty subreddit said affordability influenced their purchasing. But about 2/3 said they also wanted to experiment with new and trendy products, so the products this time are, I think, a bit more interesting. Again, the actual rankings part is going to be pretty subjective because I don't think it is possible to rank anything without some subjectivity, but as always, I will explain my rank so you can compare that against your own needs and wants. My scale goes from Holy Grail, which is products I love to death, Solid Choice, which is stuff I would happily recommend to my friends and most people really, and then all the way down to not for anyone, maybe for my enemies, and there's also a space for products I haven't tried myself for long enough to have an opinion on. Based on my own experiences trying to predict how products are going to go on my skin and what I've learned over the years looking into the science of skincare and in my cosmetic chemistry training, you can't really make accurate predictions based on just an ingredients list, and it is pretty misleading when people try to do that. As usual, these are my opinions on the products. Your skin might not like what my skin likes. As an indication, I have oily skin that gets dehydrated easily and likes to clog up. It likes to produce a lot of pigment, and I live in Sydney, which is pretty humid. But as usual, definitely don't stop using a product you love just because I didn't like it. This time we are going to go from number 20 for extra suspense. Number 20 is the CanMake Mermaid Skin Gel Sunscreen. This is one of only 2 sunscreens in the top 20, which I thought was interesting because sunscreens are one of the most popular categories of Asian skincare products, but there are a lot of really popular ones, so maybe that diluted the mentions. Luria, this website, just counts the number of mentions. It doesn't distinguish between good or bad. This is a Japanese sunscreen, and AsianBeauty does generally only cover Japanese and Korean products. The entire top 20 is just from those 2 countries. There are obviously a lot more countries in Asia, and some of them have a lot more people, like India, Indonesia, and China. But maybe because they have so many people, their beauty brands don't really tend to focus on exporting overseas. Japan and Korea tend to do a lot of soft diplomacy where they try to export their culture overseas, and I think that's why in a subreddit like AsianBeauty, which largely has Western Redditors, you see more of these countries' products. This has SPF 50+ and PA4+, which is the highest rating you can get in Japan. It's a combination sunscreen with a mix of old and new chemical filters as well as physical filters. This used to have a really fantastic formula. It was lightweight, it had barely any white cast, and it was in my top sunscreen recommendations for a long time. It's been through a bunch of changes, so I think first there was new packaging with the old formula and then they changed the insides as well. And it seems like the new version does have white cast, but the old version is still stocked in some places. Japanese sunscreens tend to reformulate and not change their packaging, and most of the info on Japanese sunscreens and skincare is in Japanese, which makes it a bit harder to work out what is going on. So I think the reason this is in the top mentions is because people are confused and asking questions. If this was the old version, it would go straight up to the Holy Grails, but for the new version, it's either meh or bad. Compared to Western sunscreens, it is still pretty good, but the confusion around this does annoy me a lot because people did buy this off my recommendation and some of you got a completely different product. I always feel really bad when people end up with bad purchases because of me. That is why it takes me so darn long to come out with review videos. I spend weeks testing the product and days prepping the video. I'm going to put it into bad because there are so many other sunscreens that are just less stressful to buy. Number 19 is the Round Lab Docto Cleanser. Round Lab is quite a popular brand in Korea. Their Birch Juice sunscreen is really nice. I've reviewed that before. This isn't the packaging I have. My one has a little seal on the tube and it has a little face and it brings me a lot of joy, which automatically gives it bonus points from me. This is a really nice cleanser that gives lots of dense foam, but it still has a low pH. Cleansers that have like dense, luxurious foam are really popular in Asia and honestly everywhere because lots of us like foam when we cleanse and it makes us feel like it is more cleaning. But to get this texture of foam, a lot of brands will use soap surfactants that only work at high pH, and this can be an issue if your skin is acne prone or dehydration prone, which mine is. I've been disappointed so many times by Asian cleansers that have really lovely foam, and then after I use them for a few weeks, my skin ends up dry and irritated, and then I test it and check the ingredients and it's got soap surfactants. This one uses isothianate and taurate, which are surfactants that tend to give this sort of foam texture, but they don't need to be formulated at high pH. Having a mix of lots of different surfactants makes mixed micelles, which are gentler on skin. I've talked about it in my video on cleansing myths. Foam on its own doesn't really tell you much about whether a product is going to strip your skin or not. I don't know if I would call these surfactants natural. They are according to a lot of natural certification bodies, but that's because their rules are kind of really arbitrary. There's just a list of chemical reactions that count as natural for some reason, and others that count as synthetic. I think these certification bodies just use this as a loophole because if their brand stuck to truly natural ingredients, they would have like nothing left. These sort of pseudoscience marketing concepts like clean and the EWG and natural are getting more and more popular in Korea. There is this assumption that Korean skincare is really innovative and science-based, but just like anywhere else, people still fall for cognitive biases. This cleanser also has a whole bunch of really nice hydrating ingredients like glycerin, hyaluronic acid, allantoin, panthenol, ceramides, and this compensates for the stripping that comes from cleansing. I really like this cleanser. It's really gentle, and that seal really does bump it up, so I'm going to put it into Holy Grail, and I think this will work for most people's skin. Number 18, we have the Cosrx BHA Blackhead Power Liquid. Like a lot of other Korean BHA products, this uses betaine salicylate because of the regulations around salicylic acid. But it does just split up into salicylic acid and betaine once there's water around, and the amount of salicylic acid versus salicylate ions just depends on the pH that the product gets adjusted to at the end. This also has willow bark water, which is a natural source of salicin. That gets converted into salicylic acid if you eat it. It's a traditional remedy for headaches, but not really if you put it on your skin. This also has niacinamide, which is a really trendy ingredient that started off getting popular in Asian skincare products. I think the reason this is so popular is that it was one of the few salicylic acid products from an Asian brand for a really long time. It might also be this high because Cosrx is probably the most popular Korean beauty brand for US consumers. I personally didn't see much of a difference when I used this, probably because I use so much Paula's Choice 2% BHA. In general, I would recommend getting chemical exfoliants from Western brands because it is one of the categories that is really lacking in Asian skincare. I think this could be an option if you find Western products a bit too harsh, so I'm probably going to put this in meh, but let me know if you've had really good results from this. Number 17 is the Kose Softimo Speedy Cleansing Oil. Cleansing oils is one of the options you have for the first step of a double cleansing routine, which is really popular in Asia. This is where you start off with an oil-based cleanser like a cleansing oil or a balm, and then you follow up with a water-based cleanser like a foaming gel. Double cleansing is a pretty gentle and effective way to get rid of waterproof makeup and sunscreen, and this cleansing oil I really enjoy. It's really good value, it's really effective, and it's also fragrance-free, but it smells neutral, so it is really suitable for a wide range of people without having that sort of fragrance-free smell. I found that this removes eyeliner well. I don't get any eye sting or blurriness. It has a nice pump which dispenses an amount that you actually want. There are some really bad pumps out there. My personal gripe with cleansing oils is just that getting them from my hand onto my face without anything dripping on the floor is a bit more difficult. My partner gets really annoyed about this, and oils require a bit more effort to clean up than water-based products, so I just prefer something more solid and more portable. But yeah, there are really no other downsides to this. It is just a solid recommendation. I'm going to put this up into Holy Grail. On to number 16, and I have changed the lighting background because it is really hot here, and the pink, I don't know, maybe it made me feel like I was in hell. I also have an ice pack in my lap because, yeah, Australia. This is the Kikuma Samune, hopefully that is somewhere near the correct pronunciation, High Moist Lotion, and it is the only body product on this list. It's an Asian lotion, which is a product that has a very liquidy toner consistency, sort of like the runniness of milk. It is really liquid. It's not what you would expect if you come from like a Western skincare background and you think lotions are thicker, creamier moisturizer products. It has a lot of really interesting ingredients. There's a big focus on pigment targeting and brightening ingredients like sake extract, which has kojic acid. This product is actually made by a sake company. There's arbutin glycerate, which is a licorice extract. There's also hydrating ingredients like ceramides and glycerin. The smell of this is a little bit weird. To me, it starts off smelling like fresh apple cider and then it very quickly kind of turns into old apple cider. Kind of like if you spilled some apple cider on a pub table and left it for half an hour. I found that the smell went away pretty quickly after about 10 seconds, but I can imagine that it might bother some people. It's super hydrating. It can also get a bit onto the sticky side. As you might expect, having a pump with what is basically water in it is a bit tricky. I've seen some people decant this into a bottle or a spray, which should be pretty safe given the ingredients. I've only used it in the pump, but I kind of cut my hand around it to try to, catch all the splash. I mostly use this on my body for hydration and maybe to help tackle some dark marks. It is a lot easier to rub in than like a Western lotion, but it might not be quite enough if you live somewhere very dry. I think if this works on your face, it would be incredible value, but some people do say it breaks them out a bit and that could potentially be purging. It might go away after your skin's adjusted. I'm going to put this into solid choice. I think it can be a bit risky with the fragrance, but I think if you don't mind the fragrance and it works for your face, then it could get bumped up to Holy Grail. Number 15 is a repeat that we'll get to later, but number 14 is the Cosrx Low pH Cleanser. Low pH cleansers are a selling point in Korean skincare because a lot of cleansers were really high pH for a long time and a lot of them still are. This product has been around for a while and despite the low pH, which is around 5.3, a lot of people, including me, still find this really drying. It might be because there aren't that many surfactants in this, so you're not getting that mix micelle gentle effect. There's also no real hardcore humectants or moisturizers in the formula to try to replace what gets washed away. There are some natural extracts, but I think these are mostly way too water soluble to stay around on your skin after cleansing. I think it is popular because it's Cosrx, it's really easy to get in the US and it is really budget friendly, but I think it is worth it to pay a bit more to get a less drying cleanser if your skin does get tight after cleansing. I have oily skin and getting a gentle cleanser has made a really big difference to how manageable the oil is. Plus I think it kind of balances out because then you save on hydrating products. So I'm going to put this in meh. I would recommend the Round Lab cleanser over this. Other inexpensive options are the Hamish Green Foam and the Harder Labo Hyaluronic Foam. Number 13 is the Biore UV Aqua Rich Watery Essence. This is another Japanese sunscreen. It has SPF 50+ and PA4+, as well as some water resistance. This was many people's first Asian sunscreen, kind of like their gateway sunscreen, and it shows up a lot in my top sunscreen recommendations. It has a lot of the features that Asian sunscreens are really known for. It's really lightweight and it feels refreshing to apply, which is a really stark contrast from Western sunscreens. This sits really nicely under makeup and it contains some of those newer filters that give better UVA protection as well as that light texture. This does contain alcohol, but it's not a big problem for most people because it also has moisturizing ingredients that counteract that effect. This has a mild floral scent and it's easily available and not very expensive, although you do need to watch out for fakes on Amazon and eBay. Overall, this is great, but I do feel a little bit hesitant to put it into the Holy Grails because it does get reformulated quite frequently, about every 2 years. The newest 2023 version has just come out, which I haven't quite tried yet, but all of the formulations I've tried, which is about 3 or 4 of them, have been great, so I think it is pretty safe to chuck it into Holy Grails. Number 12 is the Etude House Sunjung Emulsion. I haven't tried this, but I do want to try it. There is another product from this range coming up, so this is going into the no opinion. Number 11 is the Isntree Green Tea Fresh Toner. This is a toner that's based on green tea and some of the plant extracts. These all have antioxidant benefits. I tried this for about a week, which isn't really long enough to give it a thorough review, but I have had toners do a lot more for my skin in that amount of time. This is very lightly hydrating, and there are reviews from people who've said that it helps reduce their oil over time. In general, I've personally found that green tea is a pretty underwhelming ingredient on my skin, and I think I'm just not that much of a toner person. I am a bit of a minimalist with my routine, so toners that don't give that much of a hydrating effect are pretty much one of the first products to go. It is really affordable though, so I'm going to put it in meh for now. I am open to being convinced. Let me know in the comments how you found this if you've tried it. Number 10 is the I'm From Rice Toner, and that is not the correct product image. The I'm From range has a bunch of star ingredients that are trending in Asian skincare, and this one is from their rice range. It also has niacinamide and adenosine, which is a combo I've seen in a lot of Korean skincare products. And the reason for this, I think, is because it allows them to be marketed as anti-aging functional cosmetics. This is really nice and light. I did find that it had a little bit of a brightening effect on me, but I preferred the cream from this range. The I'm From rice cream has this really lovely texture that works really nicely under makeup. It is under my makeup right now, and again, I think I'm just not that much of a toner person. It is on the pricier end for a toner, and some people do have issues with rice extract, so I'm gonna put this in meh or solid choice. I don't know. I'm gonna put it in solid choice. If it was cheaper, it would definitely be in solid choice. Number 9 is the Etude House Soonjung 2x Barrier Intensive Cream. This line is formulated with panthenol and metacasicide, which is from centella extract. It's the same combination of ingredients that you see in the La Roche-Posay Cicaplast Balm B5, which is a cult product, one of my favorite products for soothing and dealing with irritated, unhappy skin. People seem to have mixed experiences with this product. Some people love it and swear by it, and some it just didn't really work well for. For me, I found that it didn't work as well as Cicaplast for things like tretinoin peeling and irritation. It feels like it kind of just sits on top of my skin and it doesn't really go down and hydrate as well as I would like. It also has this really interesting twist lock dispenser. You flip it open and then you have to twist the cap to let the product come out of what looks like a Mercedes-Benz symbol. It's really cool and different, but at the same time, it makes it really difficult to dispense a little bit, and the tube itself is quite small, so I went through this really quickly, much faster than I did with a Cicaplast balm tube. Some people with dry skin have complained that it wasn't as moisturizing as they hoped, but it does seem to work really well for people who have really easily irritated skin. I think one of the other products in the line might work better for my skin, so maybe the emulsion, or they have a hydro barrier cream, and I think those ones would deliver more hydration, which is what I am after. They also have a balm product that seems to be a lot heavier, but it's more like a targeted spot treatment. I am so sorry to the people who love it, but I'm going to put it into meh for people in general, because I think there are moisturizers with much higher satisfaction rates, but if you think this might work for you, I would definitely recommend trying out a sample because you might be one of the lucky ones. If this does work for you, let me know in the comments what your skin type, your climate, what other moisturizers you like are, and maybe we can narrow down who this works really well for. Number 8 is the I'm From Mugwort Essence. I haven't tried this for long enough to have a real opinion. It is 100% mugwort extract, which is Artemisia princeps. Mugwort is a herb that's getting more popular in Korean skincare. It's kind of like the new centella. It seems to be good for redness and breakouts. This product is a bit on the pricey side, but it has really good reviews from people who like mugwort. Number 7 is the Hada Labo Premium Lotion. This is a classic super hydrating hyaluronic acid toner or essence. Again, that word lotion in Asian skincare isn't really what we think of as a lotion in Western skincare, but this is starting to change because I think Asian brands are starting to realize there is this confusion. This has lots of different forms of hyaluronic acid, and I find that in general, products that have lots of different sizes of HA tend to give more well-rounded hydration at different depths of your upper layer of skin. It kind of gives longer lasting hydration. So some of the smaller bits can go into your skin and hydrate deeper. Some of the bigger bits can sit more on top and catch water as it tries to leave. This product has been a staple for a really long time in Reddit skincare communities from when I first started really getting into Reddit skincare in like 2013. It's really inexpensive. It comes in a large bottle. One time I tried to buy a bottle during a stopover in Malaysia, but it exceeded my liquid limit, and that was like the one-time terrors have really ruined my way of life. I'm going to put this into solid choice, and I think this is again my bias against toners that don't do much except for hydrate. It is really hydrating, but these days there are tons of toners that hydrate as well as doing other things too, so yeah, that's going to sit there. And number 6 is the Cosrx Propolis Toner. Speaking of toners that hydrate and do other things, this is one of them. Propolis is really popular in Korean skincare. It's basically like the bee glue that they use to stick their hives together. It has a lot of antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects, and it's been investigated for wound healing. My impression of Propolis for a long time was that it was mostly targeted at acne-prone skin, so I didn't try it for ages. I've been converted though. Propolis has been really nice for smoothing out my skin without any sort of irritation. I have pollen allergies, so I've been a bit hesitant about bee products, but All the ones I've tried from Asian skincare brands have been really soothing. This toner is really light, a lot lighter than other Propolis products like the Skin Food Enrich Essence. And yeah, you can see all of the hydrating and soothing ingredients there. There's honey, glycerin, betaine, hyaluronic acid, and panthenol. You do need to use a bit more product than like the Skin Food Enrich Essence, but this is really budget friendly. I think this might actually maybe Holy Grail. Solid choice or Holy Grail? Oh, I'm going to put it into solid choice because I haven't really tried it for long enough, but I think there's a good chance once I try it for longer, it's going to jump up into Holy Grail. Number 5 is the Laneige Cream Skin Refiner. This is a really lovely moisturizer. It's kind of like, they say, a cream that's been turned into a liquid. It's a relatively unique product. It's one of my friend Hannah English's favorite products for irritated skin. She has dry skin. It works well for me too in winter, and I have relatively oily skin. And it also comes as a convenient mist, so you can just spray it over your makeup, for example. It has the same ingredients list, but I'm not sure if it is maybe a slightly watered down version. It's a relatively short ingredients list for an emulsion which has a lot of oil as well as water-based ingredients. There's no fragrance, there's no niacinamide, which makes this a bit of a rarity, I think. But if you do like niacinamide and fragrance, there is a copycat product from Hamish which has those. I'm going to put this into solid choice, especially if you have dry skin or if you want what's pretty much a moisturizer that you can spray on your face over makeup. Number 4 is the Pung Kang Yor Essence Toner. I actually reviewed this recently. It was included in Gothamista's favorite products a few years back. It's a really inexpensive toner, but it's not really a one-step toner. It's not really hydrating. It is based on plant extracts, and I think this could be a nice, really lightly hydrating toner in summer. This is hovering between solid choice and meh for me. I think it is probably solid choice if you like doing lots of layers of toner. A lot of people love this for the 7 skins method. It's really lightweight and it is really inexpensive despite it looking pretty premium. Whoever designed this ranking system needed to have more granularity in it. They really didn't think this through. Number 3 is the Illumine Ceramide Atto Concentrate Cream. Okay, I need to do some complaining. This has 2 of my product icks. First off, it says 7 free right on the front of the tube. So if you've been here for long enough, if you've watched enough of my content, you probably know how much I hate free from clean beauty marketing because it's based on pseudoscience. You probably want me to just skip over this and move on, but here is why I keep mentioning it. Brands putting it on the front of their packaging is a calculated move. They figured that this will bring in more customers than it puts off. So if people like me aren't vocal about the fact that it is off-putting, then more brands will keep doing it because they don't see the downside. But the problem is that less educated consumers will come across brands doing this and assume that there is some sort of legitimate benefit. The presence of this label acts as consumer education. It isn't like a neutral, harmless thing. Customers will ask brands who don't have this label if they're also 7 free, and more brands will be pressured into putting this on their labels without any sort of pushback. So I feel a responsibility to kind of be part of the pushback and try to reduce this seemingly benign but actually quite insidious misinformation. The other ick is this has like little bursting beads in it. They're like these white granules inside the product. They kind of give this illusion of the product having concentrated ingredients, like these are the actives and you can actually see them. In a few products, these beads are there to keep ingredients stable, but I'm always worried that they won't mash up properly and I'll just be walking around with dots on my face. For this product, they do seem to blend in reasonably easily and I use it mostly at night, so it is mostly okay. This product was reformulated at the end of 2021 and it might be highly mentioned because of that. Again, lots of people are discussing it. There's a lot of mixed reviews on whether the old version or the new version are better or if there's even any difference. The beads seem to be larger in the old version and the old version also seemed to be a bit lumpier and less thick. To me, the moisturizing properties of this are quite similar to the Etude House Soonjung Barrier Cream, but there's no panthenol or metacalcicide, so it's not really as targeted for barrier repair. I found that this didn't really do enough to hydrate my skin. There's not much of an occlusive or humectant effect, even though glycerin is near the top of the ingredients list. I found that I needed to really hydrate my skin underneath, and that could make sense because most Asian skincare routines would have that step. But it is a pretty bland product and it sinks into skin nicely, so it could be good if your skin is really irritated. I think it's quite interesting that this cream and the Soonjung cream both seem to lack occlusiveness, and I'm wondering if it might be because petrolatum and mineral oil aren't really that common in Korean products. I've been seeing these a lot more in free from lists than in the actual ingredient list, and a lot of Korean products seem to pride themselves on not using them. They really go on about how they only have green grade EWG products. But petrolatum and mineral oil are just really good occlusives. It is relatively difficult to make a long-lasting overnight moisturizer without using them. This isn't a giant pack though, and it is reasonably cheap, so I'm gonna put this into, I think, solid choice. Although I am tempted to dock marks for that 7 free because I am really annoyed at that. I'm gonna be petty today. Number 2 is the Cosrx Snail Mucin Essence. This was the product that was also at number 15, and it looks like if Luria combined all those mentions, this would end up as number 1. This is the one product that was on both the Skincare Addiction and the Asian Beauty Top 20. It was number 10 on that one. The next Asian skincare product in the SEA list is at number 27. I've talked about this product a lot recently. There are lots of reasons why I think it is mentioned so much. First off, snail slime is exotic and it plays into this whole idea of like mystical Asian skincare secrets, so it is just a really kind of gimmicky product. Although it actually works really well for a lot of people. It packs this really huge hydrating punch, which is really good for a glowy glass skin look. It also has a really fun sort of stringy texture. It looks good in videos and it trended on TikTok. Plus, again, Cosrx is really budget friendly and easy to find. I really love this product. It is super hydrating, and even though it does seem a bit gimmicky, it has been a staple in a lot of people's skincare routines for a long time. It does break some people out with closed comedones, but otherwise it is really good. I'm going to put this up in Holy Grails. I think it has stood the test of time. It's just a product that seems to work really well for a lot of people's skin. Finally, we have product number 1, which is, drumroll, the Milano CC Essence. I'm really happy with this at number 1. It was also the one that was on number 27 in the SEA list. This is a vitamin C product with ascorbic acid, and the main thing that is super cool about this is actually the packaging. The packaging is this really clever airtight dispenser that limits oxidation really effectively. Like, oxygen just cannot get into this thing. You actually have to squeeze this really hard for just like 1 drop to come out. I have a tube that I opened around probably January 2021. And now, more than 2 years later, there is dried up brown stuff on like the thread of the cap, but if you squeeze it, the stuff that comes out is still completely colorless. It is just mind-blowing. This is marketed as an anti-acne product in Japan. It has a bunch of ingredients like potassium glycerate, which is the active ingredient in licorice. It's anti-inflammatory, as well as isopropyl methylphenol, which is antibacterial. As well as that cool packaging keeping it stable for ages, it has a delivery system that helps the ingredients penetrate deeper. It's based on glycol. It has a really different texture from a lot of vitamin C products though. It's got this sort of really thick, draggy, oil-like texture, but it does sink in pretty quick. It feels a lot like an oil. I found this really non-irritating. It has a really light scent, and on my skin it worked really well to even out skin tone from shallow pigment. For me, that's mostly when I have post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation after a pimple heals, and that is the main reason I use vitamin C. So I think this is just a really cool and unique product. It is fantastic for people who don't use vitamin C that much and you need something that will last like a decade. And yes, I am planning to keep this tube for as long as possible, so ask me in, I don't know, 2031 what this looks like. So that is going into the Holy Grails. So overall, I think these products are a lot more diverse than the ones we saw from Skincare Addiction. That had lots of fragrance-free products, lots of simple cleansers and moisturizers, and a handful of single ingredient products. This set of products have a lot more different active ingredients, and there are a bit more controversial products that have mixed opinions on them. And I think that's because Asian Beauty tends to have a bit more discussion. There's more, I guess, advanced skincare users there. People want to explore stuff. So with Skincare Addiction, we had a lot more solid choice products because everything was just pretty inoffensive, but these ones I think are a lot more interesting. There's a lot more in the meh tier for reasons that are quite unique to me. Overall here, there are 13 products from Korea and 6 from Japan, and the Japanese products are all sort of older legacy products that started being popular a long time ago. The newest one is probably from like 2015. At the moment, Korean products are a lot more popular, and there are a lot of new ones here, although there are still lots of sort of legacy products. I think that's because Korean products just tend to be cheaper on the whole, and there is also a lot of support from the Korean government for beauty brands to export their products. Again, that is that soft diplomacy thing. The Korean government is actually sponsoring beauty stores to export products, which is Kind of mind-blowing. I cannot imagine the Australian government doing that. So it's a lot easier for Western Redditors to buy Korean products, plus there is a lot more information in English compared to for Japanese products. Let me know what you thought of these products, what you thought of my rankings. Please don't be too mad at me, these are subjective. Please let me know if there's a way of using some of these products that I just don't know about that might change my rankings. You can also check out my rankings of the skincare addiction products, and I have some Korean skincare reviews that I've done recently as well. I hope you enjoyed this chatty video, and I am going to run off and de-sweat now.